very good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. The webinar today is part of the Smart Nation Together channel organized by the Smart Nation and Digital Government Office SNDGO. If you'd like to find out more about the other free webinars that we are offering, do visit the link that I'll be pasting in the chat box below. I'm Cheryl for SNDGO, and I'll be your host for this session. Today, we are very privileged to have with us our speaker, Murali, the Senior Learning Solutions Architect at VMware Learning. Murali has more than 10 years of IT experience as a trainer, consultant, and engineer, and he'll be bringing us through today's seminar, Data Center Virtualization and Cloud. Feel free to post any questions that you have for Murali anytime during the webinar at the Q&A box below, and he'll be getting to them at the end. Now, over to you, Murali.
Hi, thank you. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you everyone for joining. Thanks for the introduction. So this is Murali, and I'm a senior solution architect in VMware. So today I'm going to walk through the basis of virtualization. Although it's VMware virtualization, but it's common regardless of whichever vendor that you're working on. And I'm going to talk about multi-cloud strategy. So these are the two important things in today's world that we are moving towards. So I'm going to briefly cover these topics. Again, like she mentioned, if you have any questions, please post in the chat box or the Q&A section. I will monitor in my second screen. I could answer live if possible. If not, I will answer at the end. All right, so let's begin. So the reason why IT exists because to support business, we all know that. And nowadays, all our business runs on and are delivered through a mobile app or delivered through an online platform. So app is the key here. Application is everything, right? We are accessing apps. For example, for ordering food, we use Grab or Uber. For taxi, we have the app, to order, taxi. We have Trace Together, which is an app. So you can see app drives everything. Application is everything. So as IT allows to host these apps, correct? So there are traditional way of hosting this app, and there is now a modern way of hosting the applications. So the traditional way is we set up a data center. So data center is where a dedicated big building where you have servers, networking, storage, security. We have IT engineers, network administrators, security administrators, they all work together. They configure the data center to make sure the infrastructure is ready to host and support these applications. So they have to worry about lots of things. First, they have to make sure the application is highly available. So there should be some sort of redundancy planning required. And also assume that business is growing. So the application will serve more users. So more users meaning we have to cater more resources, IT resources, to the customers. So and also company may do some new business. So there are new applications. So consistently data center have to grow, have to update, upgrade, patch, and also remember the security things. So last time security wasn't really a big concern, but now yes, because now it's all connected to the internet, and internet is a place where anything can happen. So we have to make sure things are protected, data are in a way encrypted. We don't want to give the data to the wrong hands. So there's a constant a group of people working to make sure the application is running fine and can be accessible and secure. So as you know that IT is always ever changing. So there are always a new way of doing things. So there are two things here. First, the infrastructure, IT infrastructure. As I just briefed, the IT infrastructure traditionally it was in a data center. Again, it depends upon the company, right? If it is a small company, probably they don't really have a data center. Probably they have a small room. Inside the room, they may have a couple of servers, couple of networking equipments, and that's it. But if it is a big enterprise organization, they might have big data centers. not just only one. As I said, for redundancy, they might have multiple data center within the country, or they can even span across multiple countries if it is a multinational company. So even though it's a one company operate within the country, we want to make sure that we also protect against natural disasters. So some organizations, they have a data center abroad, so that in case if a local data center fail for whatever reasons, we can switch over there. The reason why we are making sure everything is highly available, because we want to run the app. So the app is a business. Our app serves something which we cannot afford to go down. So the problem with the traditional way of running application is that we have to build a data center. So we need a space, we need power, we need cooling, we need internet, we need people to set up and everything. And it's a lot of effort to make sure the application runs fine. But the issue is that when we look at the utilization of our infrastructure, it is really low. In some cases, it's not really acceptable because of the complexity, because of lots of different demands configuration, that the resource utilization is very low. So to solve this problem, we have a concept of virtualization. So what virtualization does is that instead of running one application on one server, we can run multiple applications on a same server. So one physical hardware, you can run multiple applications. Again, this might be something most of you all familiar, but just in case if you are new to virtualization, this is the basic idea. For example, take a look at your laptop. In your laptop, you have probably you have multiple client applications running. So you might have Microsoft Office, you might have Zoom, you might have Photoshop, for example. So you might have multiple applications running on the same laptop, and that is not virtualization. Okay, but on the server side, on the data center side, we don't run multiple app on the same hardware, because if the hardware fail, everything fails. So we want to separate it. That is how we used to do. We run some applications. One application on server one application on server two, and so on. So there is one-to-one relationship in the data center. So one app runs on one server. But the problem is that one-to-one is that if the application is not running, it won't run 100% of the time, right? So because of that, you are wasting your resources, and still you are because of the demand, you are still buying more. That is why IT also referred as cost center. So how to address this challenge? As I said, we have virtualization, more specifically server virtualization. So in server virtualization, what we do, just like on your laptop, you can run multiple applications at the same time. On the server, we install a software, a virtualization software, that allows to run multiple server operating system. It could be Windows Server, or it could be Linux, or it could be Solaris. It can be any server operating system, and the operating system can host application. So in simple words, virtualization, server virtualization allows you to run multiple applications in the data center at the same time. Simple as that. So this solves many challenges. Challenge number one is you have a better utilization because the hardware is not tied to one application, right? Now multiple application can use the hardware. So at the same time, we can't have unlimited applications running on the same hardware. We still have to buy multiple hardware because the hardware resources are finite, correct? We are sharing the resource. So we can run 2 or 3, but we can't run like hundreds, thousands. So we still need to buy more server, but the number of server that you buy before versus now is reduced, thanks to virtualization. And virtualization exists more than a decade, and nowadays it's a standard. Wherever you go to any data center, it's always virtualized. The servers are virtualized, and virtualization not only exists in data center, it can exist in your laptop also. For example, let's say I'm a developer, or maybe I'm a home user. I have a laptop, maybe I have a Dell laptop, and I have Windows 10 running. Let's say I'm developing an application. I want to make sure my application works on Windows as well as Mac. So just for that, I mean, if I have enough budget, I can go and buy another iMac or MacBook. But again, it's why I have to buy just because to test the app. So what you can do, you can install this virtualization software on your laptop, and you can run Mac OS, for example. Let's say you want to learn Linux. How about that? Okay, your company asks you to manage, Linux, or you are curious to see how Linux works. So instead of reinstalling Linux on your laptop, which you cannot run Microsoft Windows, so what you can do, you can install this virtualization software, then you can run multiple operating system at the same time. So this concept of virtualization is generic. In data center, it is a standard now, but on our home, on general use, we may or may not use this virtualization, but it do exist in the data center. Correct. So that is the virtualization. So as I said, there are two things happening. One, infrastructure. So infrastructure is moving towards virtualization. So the server virtualization, as I said, exists long ago, but now we also have network virtualization, and we also have storage virtualization. So if you walk into a data center, the data center have so many racks. If you are not familiar with a data center, all the rack looks the same to you, but actually there are different kind of rack. One rack could be server, other racks could be network equipments. So this is where vendors like Cisco, Juniper, Huawei, comes in. So they supply those networking devices. So you have switches, routers, firewall, all those stuff. Then you also have a storage rack. So storage rack where all the data is stored. So this is where EMC comes in. We have Hitachi storage, we have HP storage. There are so many vendors in a storage space. So again, we applied the server virtualization to the server, but not really on network and storage. But now we also apply the same virtualization concept to the network rack and also to the storage rack. So meaning you don't have to buy as much network equipments or storage equipment like before. So now we can, in a way, run it as a software inside the server itself. Okay, for example, let's say think of your mobile phone. So last time, before mobile phone, right, probably you carry multiple devices. Probably you carry a radio, you carry a torchlight, and probably you carry a, I don't know, some portable CD player, for example, maybe a music player, for example, and then you carry a laptop for internet and so on. But now it's mobile phone. Mobile phone has everything inside. So it's all combined. So same thing here in data center. Past time we run separately. So we need to engage with multiple vendors. We have to buy and manage, operate separately. But now you can manage as a one device. So within that one device, we can run server virtualization, you can run network virtualization, and you can also run storage virtualization. Do remember, by introducing all this virtualization, it allows you to efficiently manage, maintain, operate, and it also save your data center running cost. But this won't eliminate. You still have to buy, but you don't have to buy as much as before. So it's all in one combined. So this is what happening in the infrastructure. At the same time, there is a transition happening in applications also. So let me quickly draw something here so that you will understand what I mean. So let's say if you want to run application, obviously you need the hardware. So the hardware is what I discussed so far, is the infra. That the traditional infra is non-virtualized. Now the modern data centers are virtualized. So we have compute, network, storage, virtualized. So this is all happening in the hardware side. On the software side, what's happening is that, or what we are used to. So if you want to run an application, any application, let's say SAP, Oracle, let's say a database, for example, or you created a web application, any applications. Okay, so in order for this application to run, it won't directly run on the hardware. Obviously, you need an operating system. So this operating system, again, you choose based on your choice, based on the support and so on. So we have Microsoft Windows Server operating system, and we also have Linux, and there are so many other server operating system which you can choose from. So the majority is obviously Windows Server and Linux. So this is the two major server operating system platform. So you need to, in order to run the app, you need an operating system. But actually, there are many things going in between. I'm not going to go in detail, but let's say we call it, a runtime. So you need an operating system, followed by you need to install runtime, then you can run the app. So you need operating system, and in order for operating system to work, you need a hardware. Then you need to install a runtime, and you need to run an app. For example. So I mean, sorry, to give you an example. Let's say Adobe Flash. Adobe Flash is the good example. So in the past, when you go to websites, right? When you access the website, it asks you to install Adobe Flash. So what is Adobe Flash? Adobe Flash is a runtime. Another example could be Java. So let's say if the application is developed in Java, you have to install a Java runtime. So, but now you can say that, hey, I never install Adobe Java. I don't install Flash. Everything works fine, because nowadays when we install operating system, all the necessary runtime are pre-installed. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Okay, for example, nowadays it's HTML5. HTML5 in a way like a runtime that allows to run websites, videos, and so on. So this is how traditionally the application works. But now we are no longer running application like this. Again, I'm not going to go very in detail. I'm just explaining like a very high level overview. So now what happens is that instead of running application like this, we in a way strip away the operating system. And what happens is that when we create an application, we also bundle the runtime along with the application. Okay, runtime or dependencies. So runtime is actually a dependent, right? In order for run application to work, you need a runtime. So that is what we are doing now, and we call this as container. Okay, so we call this as container. Why it is called container? Because it contains applications and runtime. Just like shipping container, if you imagine the shipping agency or the ship, they no need to worry about what's inside. All they have to do is just move here and there. Okay, so same thing. So in container world, the application and runtime is actually bundled together. Think of it like a Google Play Store. So you go to Google Play Store, you search for the app, and then you install the app, and the app runs fine, right? You don't go and install anything. So when you install the app, what happens behind the scenes is that the application get installed, and also the necessary dependencies also getting installed. By the way, this is just an example. So this is what happening on the server side. So there are two things happening. One, the infrastructure is going towards virtualization. Then the applications also transforming. So we have two apps. We have an existing apps, and we have the modern apps. We call it modern apps. Okay, but remember, end of the day, whether it is a traditional app or modern app, you still need to have a hardware to run. Okay, so the challenge is that, of course, our hardware, our software can run on the existing, it works for the existing app. For the modern app, it has to support. Okay, so nowadays, of course, when you choose the infrastructure, hardware and software, you have to make sure the vendor supports both. So VMware is one of the vendor can support running traditional applications and also modern applications. And one more thing, just because we have a new way of doing things, we cannot like overnight go and change everything. Okay, so there will be still maybe months or even years for existing apps to be converted into the modern apps platform. The reason behind is the application was just developed. Organizations don't see a need to change just because there is a new technology, and also everything works fine, so I don't want to change. So that's why what's happening in today's world is that all new application developments are developed in the new method. The existing applications will continue to run. So enterprise have a choice to maintain the application. If they wish, they can do a re-platform. So re-platform meaning, so as I said, right, currently we are running resources in our own data center. So that is what we call private cloud. Okay, private cloud means you set up a data center, you configure everything, compute, storage, network, you design it, and you run it. Nowadays, you also know about cloud. So cloud is basically you don't have to set up everything. Everything is set up by a vendor. So you just go and lease it. You just use it for a year or even days, or even you can consume it for hours, if it is necessary. So you don't have to set up anything. You just pay per use. So think of it like electricity, right? We are not producing our own electricity, right? So what we are doing, we are just consuming electricity, and somebody produces it and they just deliver to you, and then you just pay based on how much you consume. So that is like a cloud. So in cloud, you don't have to set up everything. It is done by someone else. You just go and consume it, and then you just pay based on how much you consume. So enterprise also looking at re-platform, because if you think about it, why enterprise I want to do everything on my own? I just outsource to somewhere else. So that is basically the platform. So this is just to give you a context of what we are talking. So we are talking about two things here. One is the infrastructure. Instead of running traditionally, we are virtualizing it, and also the applications are also changing. The application not running traditionally anymore. It runs in a new way. All right. So we have to make sure the infrastructure will support both existing apps as well as these modern apps. So of course, VMware is one of the vendor who can support it. So in today's world, we have so many choices. We can run applications traditionally. So in a so-called virtual machines, and the container, which I just explained. Okay, so in IT we have to support both. Okay, and we also have many choices. We can run it on our own data center, which is built by us, managed by us. We can also go to cloud if we want to. Do understand that even though there is a cloud exist, it is still necessary for some organizations to have their own data center. For example, let's say you are a government, or let's say you are a finance organization. You don't want to store your data, or you don't want to run your application on someone else data center. Okay, it may not be secured. It is basically trust thing, right? So even though cloud exists, still we might run applications on our own. So the data centers could still exist. In fact, it could coexist. This is what happening in all the enterprises these days, that all the sensitive data, applications, services run within their premise, meaning it's controlled by the organization within the data center. So those who are public facing, for example, let's say a website is already public. So for that, I can go and host it on the cloud. So enterprise have choice. They can choose a data center or cloud, or they can choose both. And nowadays, there are so many other services offered in the cloud. For example, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and data intelligence. For example, let's say we are using Zoom today. Do you know that Zoom has a live captioning feature that they have introduced. So while I'm talking, you can just click live transcript. So the AI will automatically, translate potentially to another language in the future. I don't know, maybe. So this is what happening, these days. And this AI is not it's not developed by you. It is developed by maybe a third party vendor. You just want to consume it. Okay, so these are the options. So nowadays we have so many things going on, and as IT infrastructure, we have to make sure everything, we can able to integrate with everything, and everything should work, for our customers or for even for ourselves. As I said, we have so many options to run infrastructure. I can run on-premise, which is the data center, or I can run on the cloud, or I can run at the edge. So there is also what we call, edge cloud. So there are so many options to run. And as I said, there are so many types of applications. So we have traditional apps, we have a container apps, which what we call modern app. And nowadays, you may notice that some applications, we don't even install it on our laptop anymore. For example, Office 365. So Office 365, it is not necessary for you to install Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook on your laptop. You can just go to a website and you can just consume it from there. So that is what we call SaaS app, software as a service. We don't have to install at all. So we have more options, right? And we have more cloud services. And here's the thing. There are so many cloud service provider. Let's say we have AWS, we have Google, we have Azure, we have IBM, Oracle. There are Alibaba even. There are so many cloud service provider, and for certain things, one cloud service provider is better than the other. Okay, I'm just giving an example. Maybe for machine learning, Google is good. Okay, but Google may not be good at infrastructure. So this good or bad is not really good or bad. It's more like whether it satisfies your requirement or not. Okay, they may be good, but it doesn't satisfy your requirement, your business requirement or application requirement. So as I said, Google may be better in machine learning, but for for AI, AWS is better. Okay, so we have to work with multiple cloud service provider to get what we want. So there are more options, and of course, whenever you go, they give you their own tools to manage, operate, secure. So you still have to configure. We still need the IT engineers to make sure everything works as expected. So we have so many opportunities. We have so many tools, to use. And in a way, this actually brings a challenge. So the challenge is that since there are so many cloud service provider, your application data is everywhere. You have to make sure that you can manage it. Okay, and that is very important, which I'm going to talk a little bit later. So when you look at any enterprise these days, they are into multi-cloud strategy. Sometimes you may not even aware, whether you are using. For example, these days, you think that you don't use cloud, but most of us today, we are using Office 365. I'm using Office 365. So Office 365 is not installed on your data center. It is hosted by Microsoft, and it is in the cloud. Nowadays, when I access some applications, even I don't realize that I'm accessing application through a web browser. Okay, so mostly this web hosted application runs on SaaS, runs on another vendor. So applications are everywhere. Infrastructure, there are so many options. There are so many services. So in an enterprise, they use multiple cloud so that they can build, run, manage their applications, anywhere. So when we look at cloud, the cloud is everywhere, obviously. AWS is one of the first public cloud service provider. We call it hyperscalers. So AWS, Azure, Google, we call it hyperscalers. So there are everywhere now. They started with in US, then they expand to UK and to Asia and all. So so the reason why they have data center across, because obviously to serve local regional user. So the closer the application is, the faster it is for consumer, and also for data locality legal restrictions. Why hyperscalers, they build their own cloud. And not only hyperscalers, there are partner data centers. So maybe a service provider can offer these services. Nowadays, service providers like internet service providers, you may notice they don't just only offer internet. They offer internet, they offer mobile services. They could even offer a cloud solution, for example. So so we can leverage partner data center, because the difference is the partner data center can give you more services than hyperscalers. We can't go and call Microsoft to help to do something, but a partner can help you to do it. So you have so many choices. So in today's world, in today's organization, this is in a way like a summary that um, we have virtual machines. The virtual machines are running on private cloud. I mean, in your data center, or it can run on AWS, or it can run on Azure, for example. And we also have modern apps which are container-based apps. And we have a new way of managing these apps, that is what we call Kubernetes. So organization run VMs, run container, and they run everywhere. At the same time, they want to make sure that they have full control, they have full visibility, so that they can manage, monitor. So we know where my applications are running. If I want to scale, I can scale. I want to automate, certain things. I want to make sure things are, secured. And we also follow all the the regulations, for example. So this is what an enterprise needs now, um, um, so that they can support the existing apps and also the modern apps, which is the app modernization. So consistent infrastructure, consistent operation, and consistent developer model is what is necessary. So although we have so many choices, we have to make sure something is standardized and consistent, so that it will work as as expected. Okay, so again, a summary of why we need to go for multi-cloud. So the reason why we need to have multi-cloud, I mean, you can leverage multi-cloud is that, but before moving to the multi-cloud, let me talk about hybrid cloud. So it's evolution, right? We started with a server, network, storage, virtualization, which is what we call private cloud. And hybrid cloud means, as I said, for certain things, you can go to a particular cloud service provider. So we have a private cloud, and we are also working with public cloud. So we are using together. This is what we call hybrid cloud. But but hybrid cloud is no longer being used these days. Now we are talking about multi-cloud. So an enterprise not just works with one public cloud service provider, they work with multiple cloud service providers. So it's multi-cloud now. And there is also an opportunity to migrate to the cloud. So let's say you are running a data center, you find it so expensive, you want to migrate to the cloud. So Sorry, I was dropped. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, sorry. Let me share screen again. All right. So as I was saying, the hybrid cloud, we use private cloud as well as one of the public cloud service provider, and we can migrate to cloud. Another advantage of cloud is that scale on demand. So let's say you have a new project which you need to run test some applications. So just for that, you don't want to buy the service, because after the project ended, what are you going to do with those infrastructure that you have bought? So for that, you can go to cloud. So cloud, you just go temporarily lease for during the project time, and after that you can just cancel the subscription, or you can just delete all your apps. So you can scale up and scale down on demand. We also need to make sure that no matter where the application is, whether it's private or public, we can operate. And one last thing is that we don't run application the way that we run before. Now we have a new way of running application. So we have to make sure all this cloud service provider, they can host this modern apps. So this is the benefit, or this is why the enterprise going towards multi-cloud. All right. So nowadays, all the multi-cloud service provider, they do support modern apps. They do support traditional apps. In a way, sometimes it could be give you some cost savings. Not all the time. It depends, right? Sometimes actually many customers that I know, that once they move into the public cloud, they find it even more expensive than running private. So we have to do some cost analysis. So it's not always cheap, to run on public cloud. There are so many factors which we have to consider before we move it to public cloud, or moving back from public cloud to private cloud. And remember, application has to be accessed from everywhere. Last time we work in the office, now we are work from home, we work from anywhere. And also customers, also they access our services from anywhere. So we have to make sure they can access, and we also have to make sure that the access is secured, right? So all these things, we have to make sure when we are when you are designing multi-cloud. So in summary, we can run our applications privately on our own cloud, private cloud. We can go to the public cloud, or we can use multi-cloud, or we can use edge clouds. All right. So each cloud, each cloud, they have its own set of tools to manage, monitor. So because of this, right, this introduces a new challenges.
Hi, Murali will be back soon. I think there's an issue with his connection. So sorry.
Sorry, I'm dropped again, I believe. Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, we can.
Oh, sorry. Right. So yeah. So as I was saying, every cloud has its own set of tools management. This introduces a complexity or inconsistency to manage. So VMware is one of the vendor. What VMware can offer is that we can run VMware on all the cloud service provider. You can run VMware on private cloud. You can run the same VMware on all the public cloud. Let's say you can run it on AWS, you can run it on Azure, or you can run it on Google or IBM, whichever cloud service provider you like. So with that, you have consistent operations, you have consistent management, you have consistent operations. So the way that you operate your private cloud is the same way how you operate the public cloud. And by the way, if you like, of course, in this short presentation, I cannot show much of a demo and so on. So what you can do is that hopefully you got some idea of what I'm talking about. So if you want to do a hands-on, so I will also paste this link in the chat box. You can just go to hol.vmware.com. From there, you can search for something. For example, let's say search for VMware on AWS. So just type AWS, and you will get the AWS labs. So you can just go and try. And this is you just have to register. It's free. You don't have to enter credit card or anything. Just go ahead and access and try, and you will experience it. So there is a step-by-step guide. For example, how to create a VM, how to create a container. So you just click the lab and click launch. Then there is a step-by-step guide that tells you what to do. So on your right, you will see the instructions here. So you just follow, and you know everything. And the lab doesn't start like that. If you let me look for AWS. You can choose. For example, if you are new, right, for the first time you are exploring, start with fundamentals. Okay, so just go to the fundamental and start the lab here. While it is loading, not just only AWS, you can try like Azure, how the Azure multi-cloud solution looks like, as you can see. And I was talking about containers, right? We call it Tanzu. So just search for Tanzu. You will see how we can host this modern applications. So just click enroll. Again, it's free. You don't have to pay for it, but you just have to register an account. So once you create an account, you can log in and you can access the lab. So if you go through the lab from page number 1, we also teach you like what is AWS, what is cloud computing. Basically, whatever I discussed here, in a way they will explain it here also. So you can just do it by yourself. All right. So this is what a vendor should provide. So the vendor should provide, first of all, they should embrace this multi-cloud. Okay, so VMware is one of the vendor who can work with all cloud service provider. As I said, VMware helps you to build a private data center if you like, and we also work with service providers. So if service provider like to offer this solution, that is fine also. Or as a customer, you can directly use VMware on AWS or Azure or Google, like what I mentioned. So the advantage is that no matter where your applications are running, first of all, we use modern infrastructure. We use compute virtualization, storage virtualization, network virtualization, all the virtualization. We also go into cloud, if it is necessary. So VMware has this strong cloud foundation. So what we deliver, I mean, what enterprise needs is that when someone develops an application, they need to have a consistent infrastructure, and they have to make sure that they can provision, they can scale their apps and so on. So now we are talking about DevOps, developers and operations. They come together. So infrastructure, the multi-cloud infrastructure must be DevOps ready. And the platform. So infrastructure, the IT infra guys, they can choose many platform. Okay, they can choose private, they can choose public, different public cloud service provider. But from the developer point of view, they shouldn't be worried about, okay, where it is running, how it is running. So they were expecting a consistent access platform, right? And also remember, just because we have a new way of running applications, we can't just simply jump. We still have to support the traditional apps. So the platform that we should look for must support both modern apps and also the traditional apps. Okay, so the whole idea of this virtualization multi-cloud is that it should reduce your cost of operations. So you will find that reduced TCO. Again, that depends how you configure it, manage it, right? If you don't configure it properly, you may end up, paying more. So we still need engineers to efficiently configure and manage it. Okay, and so this is what the multi-cloud is all about. All right. So this is the evolution that I talked earlier. We started with simple virtualization. Then we have network virtualization, storage virtualization, and now we are into hybrid cloud. And nowadays, hybrid, we don't use the word hybrid anymore. It's multi-cloud. So we don't just work with one cloud service provider. Enterprise work with multiple, cloud service provider. That is the evolution. So again, as I said, you have choice. So you can choose any hardware you like to, any cloud service provider, but VMware ensures that you can run it, your applications, anywhere. All right. So it could be your own data center. It could be a VMware managed data center, or it could be a partner managed. So all are supported. Okay, and remember, when your application goes everywhere, we have to make sure we can manage, monitor, make sure it is compliant, make sure it meets the SLA and all. So there are operations and management tools that help you to achieve this as well. So we have a universal tool that allows you to manage, monitor, no matter where your application is running. Okay, whether it's private, public, or hybrid, whichever. So nowadays, what we are seeing is that we are seeing many enterprises, they see the benefit of multi-cloud. They are trying to migrate, but some like kind of stuck, because as I said, you have to re-platform. Sometimes you even have to rewrite the entire code to move to a cloud service provider. So it takes some time, and applications migration also takes some time. But again, I'm talking about VMware here, but this could be applicable for a few other vendors as well. So with VMware Cloud on AWS or with VMware Cloud on Azure, you don't have to do this much conversion. You can just simply kind of drag and drop. You can easily migrate to the cloud service provider with less downtime. Sometimes even zero downtime. And because let's say if you're using VMware in your data center, when you go to the cloud, is the same VMware software. So you don't have to learn something new, and so on. All right. So we have so many opportunities, so many services. So as enterprise, we have to leverage everything. We have to get the best of everything. Maybe you can settle with one cloud service provider, or you may work with multiple again. But mostly what we see in enterprise is that they have multi-cloud. So again, you can have AWS. You can go for it. So AWS was the first public cloud service provider. You can also consume AWS services with your private public data centers, and AWS is almost everywhere now, and more data centers are coming in. Maybe you are a Microsoft fan, a Microsoft customer. You can choose Microsoft Azure also. Azure also a cloud service provider, just like AWS. So you can choose that. And Azure data centers are also growing. You can also choose Google Cloud. So no matter which cloud service provider you choose, you can find VMware services, so that it is consistent. You can manage, migrate from private to cloud, even from one cloud to another cloud. VMware is also working with IBM Cloud, Alibaba Cloud, Oracle Cloud, even some local service provider. So you can choose whichever cloud service provider you like. So the reason why VMware is one of the leading multi-cloud service provider is that because VMware partner with all cloud service provider, so it's a faster way to go to the cloud, less disruptive, and if you want to go back, you can go back. That is something really good. So as I said, right, some enterprises, they go to the public cloud, they wonder that, okay, this is not for me. So going back is kind of hard, but with VMware is quite simple, because you didn't change anything in the first place. So you can easily go in and you can easily go out. So here's a summary of everything what we discussed. So first is the virtualization. So virtualization it is applied to the IT infrastructure, where we can efficiently run our resources. Better hardware utilization, less purchase of hardware, because we are running multiple applications at the same time. So that is the basic idea of virtualization. And virtualization is the basic building block for creating a private cloud. You can't have a private cloud without virtualization. Okay, so you have your data center virtualized, and then you combine your multiple data center together, and then that is a private cloud. But again, private cloud is not the feasible solution all the time. You may want to explore public cloud also. And you don't work with just one public cloud service provider, you will work with multiple cloud service provider, because a particular group of developer, they like AWS. Some developers in your same company, they prefer Azure. It could be the nature of the applications that they are writing, or it could be preference, or it could be the skill set. Some are familiar with AWS, some familiar with Azure. So enterprise have to cater this. So enterprise now work with multi-cloud, and of course with VMware you can run your private, you can choose public cloud service provider. But in short, this is what enterprise IT infrastructure planning are doing already right now. Okay, so that is the end of this presentation. Obviously, I give you a very high level brief. There are more things to talk about. There are more things to learn. One way of learning is that let me quickly show you. Let me post this link in the chat box first. If you want to access all the labs later, just go to hol.vmware.com. So if you go to hol.vmware.com, this will bring you to this page, and here you can do all the labs here. So you have lightning labs, which is like a quick labs, or if you want to like deep dive in, you can go to this comprehensive labs. There are some fun game-based labs also which you can try. Okay, so just click the lightning lab and just click launch. As I said, you just have to create an account, just create it and you can access it. Okay, so this is, you want to do some hands-on. The next thing I would like to share is that in order, this is overview, obviously. You have to know a little bit more technically, and you like to do a hands-on. It's better you attend a course that, so that the instructor can walk you through all this. So I would like to highlight this course, which is VMware Virtualization and Cloud Fundamentals. So basically whatever I covered today will be covered in detail here. And as I said before, the virtualization is common cloud is common no matter which vendor you choose, whether it is a VMware or Microsoft or anything. Of course, they'll be slightly different, but the concept is the same. So if you are new to virtualization, and if you are new to cloud, and you would like to pursue a career on towards this IT infrastructure cloud, the best way is to start from this course. So in this course, is a 3 days course actually. You will learn what is multi-cloud, what is cross-cloud. I talked about virtualization, like what is server virtualization, what is network, what is storage, how to migrate to the cloud, and there are certain things which I didn't discuss also covered here, such as end user computing. Here we talk about desktop virtualization, mobile device management, and so on. So this course covers all the fundamentals. The best part is that this course is heavily funded. The course fee is like about 3K, but after funding, if you are a citizen or PR, it will be just 3-1. So this is all you have to pay, to learn more about cloud. I will also share this link in the chat box. So take note of this link and ask NTUZ for more. All right, and of course you can also explore other funded courses from NTUZ Learning Hub. All right, so that's all from me. Let me quickly